Calvin Ridley, Atlanta Falcons All-Pro Pro Bowl wide receiver Calvin Ridley has been suspended for an entire year for gambling on NFL games. We're going to talk about it right after the bumper. What's good people? What's good people? My name is JeffLightsyJr. here with the Black Boss channel, Victory Formation. Thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and notification bell because we upload every single day. Now, Calvin Ridley, $1,500 is going to cost Calvin Ridley $11 million. That is right. Calvin Ridley, the Pro Bowl wide receiver for the Atlanta Falcons, has been suspended for the year, the entire 2022 NFL season, for placing gambling bets on NFL games. Yes, Calvin Ridley, who was injured part of the season and was out for the Falcons through a 5-day period, spent $1,500 on a 3-leg, 5-leg, and 8-leg parlays while he was in the state of Florida. And the NFL found out, from what I understand from all the reports, reportedly, the NFL hires a company called Genius, who tracks all the bets across all sports books to make sure that NFL players aren't betting on games, because a part of the NFL collective bargaining agreement between the players and the NFL association, the NFL, they said, hey, we're getting in bed with DraftKings, we're getting in bed with FanDuel, we're getting in bed with Caesars, we're getting in bed with MGM, we're getting in bed with all these, these sports books, these gambling sites. But you guys cannot bet on NFL games. You guys cannot bet on yourself. You cannot place, parlays, over unders, none of that stuff. You guys can't do that. You can sell a lot of other ways you can make some money. You make a lot of money playing NFL, $11 million to be exact for Calvin Ridley, but you cannot bet on yourself. You cannot bet on your team. You cannot bet on NFL football, period. This is the only rule. You can bet on basketball, I think. You can bet on soccer. You can bet on college basketball, I think. But you can't bet on NFL. That seems to be the rule. And Calvin Ridley, while he was down in Florida, because gambling isn't, the sports books aren't everywhere. You can't go everywhere. But I think while he was at the Hard Rock Casino down there in like Miami or somewhere, he placed a few bets, $1,500 totals, what he told us, in a 3-leg, a 5-leg, and an 8-leg parlay for those gamblers out there. And it was just $1,500, but that $1,500 cost him $11 million. And so he will miss the entire season. Now, some folks question the NFL's legitimacy in suspending Calvin Ridley. Why? Because the NFL seemed to go a lot harder on gambling than they did on things like domestic violence, assault to women. And so some folks are calling into question, do the NFL care more about their bottom line in gambling than they do about women? Well, let me show you what I'm talking about. So let's go to this tweet put out by a young man by the name of Nick Looney. Nick Looney points out, it's a major NFL suspension. Ray Rice beating his fiance. Now, let's put this into context. Ray Rice, there was video of Ray Rice punching the shit, excuse my French, punching the hell out of his fiance, knocking her unconscious. The NFL claims they didn't see the video. Hard to believe that they didn't see the video, but it is what it is. But they knew that he knocked her out. TMZ somehow gets the video before the NFL, and TMZ is probably got some money. Maybe it's $100 million company. Hell, give them $200 million company. The NFL is a multi-billion-dollar company. How the hell they weren't able to get this video? Now, some claim Roger Goodell saw the video of him punching his fiance, knocking her unconscious, and only gave him 2 games. It wasn't until the video was made public that the NFL went back and suspended him indefinitely, and he hasn't played in the NFL game since. But they initially only gave him 2 games. So there's that. Adrian Peterson, felony child abuse, 6 games. Greg Hardy, who was arrested and charged with domestic violence, and the arrest report was, go back and look that up. The arrest report on Greg Hardy, oh my God, it was awful. Like it was gruesomely awful for what he allegedly did to this woman, his girlfriend at the time. He got 10 games, and then it was reduced to 4. And then Ezekiel Elliott allegedly hit a woman, and he got 6 games. Those, and that's allegedly, because there was no proof and none of that, but it was her word versus his word. They gave him 6 games. Now, Calvin Ridley got 17 games suspension for using FanDuel. Josh Gordon has essentially missed all of 6 seasons for smoking weed. And so with Nick Looney and others, because you see all those retweets, 38,000 retweets, another 4,000 quote tweets, 197,000 likes, almost 198,000 likes. So a lot of people are alluding to that the NFL domestic violence or violence against children or violence towards women, you get a slap on the wrist. But things that they deem are wrong, you get harsh suspensions like gambling. Now, don't get me wrong. Josh Gordon knew it was against the rules to smoke weed. Josh Gordon just negligently, because we've heard people on the Pivot podcast, on I Am Athlete, we've heard not people, NFL athletes or former NFL athletes or NBA athletes, former NBA athletes on All the Smoke, on the Pivot podcast, on I Am Athlete, talk about they smoked during their playing career. Calvin Johnson smoked during his playing career, was never once suspended for weed. A bunch of different players come out and say, yeah, I smoked my entire career. Hall of Famers, all pros, Pro Bowlers. So Josh Gordon was just negligent. He just didn't care when it came to smoking weed. But regardless, it was very minor, and he missed 6 seasons because of it. Now, that was because of his own negligence, but it is what it is. Calvin Ridley. Now, he knew it was against the rules to bet on his team or to bet on games, and he didn't use any inside information, allegedly, and he, you know what I'm saying, and he only did $1,500 total, but he knew it was against the rules. So I'm not saying that those guys shouldn't have gotten in trouble. I'm not saying that. But to see these minor suspensions, especially the Ray Rice one, I always thought was just horse BS. The fact that he only got 2 games and the NFL claims they never saw the video. The Greg Hardy only got 4 games, and that police report was pretty graphic. Now, the Adrian Peterson, Ezekiel Elliott cases are a little different. They're a little different because, you know, they're just a little different. But those minor suspensions compared to a whole season for $1,500 or 6 seasons for some weed, that's a little tough, man. That's tough to overcome. That's tough. And then let's not forget about Cap. Let's not forget about Kaepernick. That's tough, man. That's tough. I'm not saying the NFL went too hard on Calvin Ridley, because what he did was stupid. I mean, really, dude? Really? Think about this. Those $1,500 bets, the most he probably could have won was like $100,000, $200,000. It's a lot of money, but, you know, $200,000 versus $11 million, which you're going to miss out on by missing the entire season. Is it worth it? Was it really worth it? He spent $1,500 to possibly win $200,000. Hell, let's give him $300,000. It wasn't that much. I'm on FanDuel enough. I know it probably wasn't even that much. But say he could have won $350,000. Was it worth losing your entire salary for next season? Was it worth losing $11 million? Was it worth that? No. And I think that's what it has to go into. We have to continue to pour into not just our young black men, young black athletes, but young black men in general. Because just mathematically, that wasn't a smart decision. That just wasn't. It's like somebody should have been with Calvin and been like, hey, you know, Cal, hey, bro, come on. If you want to bet, hell, use my username. Shit. You don't use your username. If you're going to do something that's wrong, you're going to do something that's illegal, don't do it using your own name. Because that's the only way you could have got caught. Trust me, I can almost 100% guarantee there are other NFL players that are using FanDuel, DraftKings, BetMGM, Bovado, whatever, betonline.com, whatever. I'm sure he is not the only NFL player that is out here gambling. But I can guarantee you those other guys ain't using their own name. I can guarantee you those other guys ain't out here, I'm going to go in as Tom Brady and place a couple bets on the Buccaneers. No. Come on, Calvin. Come on, bro. Like, but the NFL, the thing about Calvin Ridley, they wanted to make an example out of him. The reason why his suspension is so long, one, is because he didn't bet that much. He only bet $1,500, and he only bet for his team to win and, all the good things for his team. He didn't bet against his team, and he wasn't playing during those times. I think all of those factored into him only getting a year. If he would have been playing, if he would have bet against his team, if he would have bet on himself, it would have got a little sticky. But the NFL wanted to make an example, and they're not going to reduce this. I don't think they're going to reduce this at all. He's going to serve this entire 1 year suspension. They wanted to make an example out of Calvin Ridley, saying if any of you other goofies are goofy enough to use your own name and bet on the game, and we catch you all, you're going to get it worse than Calvin. Calvin only got 1 year. You might get 2. You might get banned from the league. You might, you know what I'm saying? You're going to lose a whole lot of money. So since Calvin was the first during this era that we have of all the sports books and all the gambling that's taking place in the NFL, kind of embracing gambling as a corporate sponsor, not necessarily as, wanting it for their players, you bet not get caught doing it. And if you do, we're going to make an example out of you too. So Calvin was the first. He was the guinea pig. He was the goofy. He's the one who used his own name. He's the one that got caught. And so now they're making an example out of him. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Once again, my name is JeffLightsYjr with the Black Boss channel and Victory Formation. Hit that thumbs up button. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at JLightsy7. That's Instagram and Twitter at JLightsy7. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you next time. Peace.